Sachin, I'm very happy to have you here in the group and see your work. Yes, your daily work, and you are posting so big and great results of the have done with the Maestro software. And I'm very happy to see how you're working, and we all can learn from you. And the stage is yours. All the guys in, have some fun, and perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Thank you so much. I feel really honored to be part of this group, especially with you as the admin who is trying to promote and trying to bring new things in the aligner software, especially Maestro. When I joined the group, I was a novice. I just started working with Maestro, and then with time, when I started to learn all the basics of aligners, when I became sure, I started posting my cases. I hope with my cases and a couple of our friends who do post on the group, the others who have started with Maestro lately are being motivated. And that's when we talked that it's time that maybe we can help some of them for a topic which is very, very difficult in the beginning for everybody, which is attachments. So we can talk the basics of attachments today. Anyway, I believe all doctors, they talk about attachments a little differently. I've been to many seminars and webinars on attachments. I've seen big shots like Kenji and Dr. Nikozes and Dr. Tariq, everybody working with different kind of attachments with Invisalign, with the in-house aligner softwares. So I have just come up with some very basic principles which we should know, very basic principles which we can use every day for basic movements. So that is what I'm going to talk about today, how to work with attachments on simple cases, on difficult cases, and then you can actually modify your attachments for your cases the way you feel it's better for you. What we'll do is right now is I'll show you, I'll start with the basics. That will be segmentation of the teeth, and then we'll go around doing some simple cases and then some difficult cases which are for attachments. Okay, so my friend here, our lab chief Alexander, is going to do a segmentation. I'll just start with that, and then we can actually go on to work with the attachments for every kind of movement which is there, right? Okay. So I'll just try and share my screen with you. Okay, can you see my screen now? Matthias, can you see my screen now? Yep.
It's perfect, Sachin. Okay. Everything's fine. Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll do import. My friend Alexander will come on the screen now. He's going to do an import of a simple case, do the segmentation, and then we'll talk about attachment on that case, right? So for some cases, we do change the treatment plan in the midway, and we don't see the changes as planned. And what I will try to do right now is so that you can see. Okay, so here it's a relapse case, maybe. Okay. I hope this part will also be very interesting for the doctors or technicians who are doing it, who are new to the software. So you can actually see somebody who is doing it, he's doing around 20 to 25 segmentations a day. So he's pretty used to it. And he can actually show you some of the points which might not be clear when you're doing segmentation, especially cases in which you have spaces. And in those spaces, it's difficult to do segmentation with the Maestro. Maybe I don't know about the other programs, but with Maestro it becomes a little difficult. So we'll just see how it goes on today with this segmentation. So this is an only uppercase. It was a relapse case, a very slight relapse. Patient wants to align the upper four anteriors. Okay, so I will tell you something about this segmentation part when you actually put the line on the tooth. So I had a talk with the Maestro about this. How important is it to be exact on the software to get the tooth right? So if you are like a few microns, like 0.1 millimeter up or down, it really doesn't matter because the force is on the tooth and the movement will take place from the part which is green line, right? So this is good to know that. So sometimes if you're not exactly on the line, it's not a big thing, especially on posterior teeth. If you're not doing posterior movements on some cases, like in this case, this is a relapse case, so we'll be doing only movements on the first front four teeth. I believe this was pretty fast, right? Yeah. Okay, so now we have to wait to see if the software has actually recognized the tooth outlines. Okay. Yeah, so everything is fine. The software actually found the outlines completely. So what we're doing right now is correcting the root shapes manually, but we can also do a CT and put it there, or we can have the OPJ, the panoramic X-ray, and then we can see approximately the roots they are, and then we can align them on the tooth surface. So here we're not going to make big changes, so it's not really that important. But in cases where you make bodily movements, it's good to have a CBCT, or it's good to have with the X-ray with you when you start your treatment. Okay, so the segmentation is done. I think it was pretty fast for one arch, and so this is an easy case. This is actually a no attachment case, and I will tell you why. And I will show you a similar case, which is non-attachment, and I will tell you why it was non-attachment, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the segmentation is done. So this is normally what my colleague Alexander he does, and then I come over and I do the treatment planning. So we have to find the problem. The problem is basically in such cases is space requirement, which we do in such cases with IPR, interproximal reduction. In this case, as you can see, the left side will be the reference side for us, and the right side of the patient is the side which is not actually aligned correctly. So to do the IPR, normally we correct the canine. So we see it's coming around 12 degrees distal rotation. I will not do all of it together right now. I'll do just, let's say, 6 weeks right now. The reason being, I want to do only 2 aligners in the beginning for the canine. Go back to make space for the lateral incisor and for the canine. This is my standard protocol. So we've gone back 0.18. That'll be 0.20. Let's make it 0.30. So that's the IPR which I'll be needing between the canine and the premolar. Some of our friends, they like to do the IPR before the movement. I was doing that before, maybe like 2 years before. I was doing the movement. I was doing the IPR and then doing the movement. Right now, I do the movement and then I just note how much I've done the distal on the mesial movement. The reason I've changed because I have seen that sometimes the IPR done by the program is not accurate, or the IPR shown after the movement is not accurate. So right now, when I move the tooth 3.3 millimeters distal, I know if this is exactly the IPR which I'll be needing. Sometimes I do compensate in case I'm doing rotations as well. Then we go on to the next one. And we will be going distal as well. So we'll just check how much we have gone distal, 0.5. I'll go 0.4 to have 2 aligners right now. And then we can just make the final final movement of all. We will do a little bit of overcorrection to make sure that you get the result that you want. And I don't like the torque on the lateral incisor, so it's gone -2. I'll go a little more forward. As you can see, we do a little bit of overcorrection on the central incisor to make sure that the mount is going to be the way you want it to be on the final case. And then we go with the canine, rotation complete, -15 degrees it will be. And maybe we can just do a little bit of that on the lateral incisor here as well. Fine, so this is going to be the final result. We can check now the IPR. We can check the IPR. You can check the IPR here. So it's showing -2, -0.2, but actual movement was -0.3. So that's what I was saying. Sometimes the IPR is not correct. You need to check it with the movement that you have done. And then a 0.1 movement between 0.1 IPR between the lateral and the canine, 0.1 between the central incisor and the lateral incisor, and 0.1 everywhere. So in this case, I believe we're going to have around 6 aligners, 2 + 2 + 2, which is good enough for such a case. It's not a very difficult case. So the question will be, do we need to have attachments on this case? Okay, so let's just see the first how it was, and then we will decide, do we need attachments, right? So this is a very simple case. Right, so this is what it was in the beginning, or we can just go back to the initial position, right? And just check. So any tooth surface which is big enough, in this case it's big enough, and you have both the sides, the mesial side and the distal side, it's free. It's not being held by the adjacent tooth. You actually will not need hair attachments. So this is a case where you can do without attachments. Okay, so if you know that you don't have enough space, then you can add attachments. Okay, so what kind of attachments? If we do add attachments here, so let's just see what kind of attachment would we like to add on this case. So we have a rotation, as we can see in the final result. So let's see the lateral incisor. So the lateral incisor is showing 13 degrees of rotation, positive rotation, and the central incisor is 13 degrees. So it's 13, 14 degrees on both of them, right? 13 degrees for me is not a very big rotation in this case, especially because the tooth size is big enough and because we have created space before the movement. So that is one reason also that we can do it without attachments. But in case we would like to add attachments, we will be adding on the lateral incisor. So let's choose the kind of attachment which we would like to use. So let's see all of them, and then we can decide which one will be more efficient in this case. And then we'll go to difficult case and we can discuss what we can do there, right? So let's see the first shape. The first shape is cylindrical. It's also a good shape, but I don't really use it. Not in all cases, very rare cases where I need good retention of the aligner on the arch, then I might use it. In this case, the teeth are big enough, so I won't be really needing big attachments which hold on. But in case we can, if you want to use this, so I'll be using this one on here, okay? And you need to change the size because it's too small. Okay, go like this. And then you can change this to at least to be 1.2 or 1.3. Reason because if you're using an attachment which is 0.5 millimeters, actual attachment when it comes on the tooth surface, it will not be 0.5. It's going to be a lot smaller. So it's actually not functional. What I have seen in the mouth, the minimum thickness of the attachment to be functional, which actually gives results, is 1.2, 1.3. If we have smaller than those, then the effect becomes a lot less. So we will be talking about also the shape of the attachment, the size of the attachments, the position of the attachment, and the number of attachments we need. So I'm going to show you some cases where too many attachments were used. I'm going to show you some cases where we don't need any attachments. I'm going to show you some cases where the attachments were placed not correctly. I'm going to show you some cases where we could have changed the shape of the attachments. Okay, fine. So this is right now, I don't use this, so we're going to change back. So for 13 degrees, this is good enough. Yeah, so 1.1 is good in this case. We can also double it if we need to. We can do, so we have done positive rotation on the lateral incisor, right? And we can also add here. Problem now, if we add on the palatal side, is that you might be having contact with the lower teeth. So I will not be using in this case the palatal side. I'll just delete it. This one, I don't like it. So let's go on to the one which we use normally. Okay. I would use here an optimized root control. I like these attachments a lot because these give you retention. They give you the direction of the movement. So I will just move, I will just change the direction of the attachment in case I want to use this one for this particular case. And I think this will be enough for me to get the rotation if I want to use attachments. Basically, I will do this case without attachment, but in case I want to, this will be the right attachment. Or sometimes you can use ellipsoid, which is also good enough for such cases, which I like to get a little more vertical. This shape is more, which is good. It gives you enough retention and enough pressure on the mesial side to go inside. But the which I like the most will be, as I said, the optimized root control. And I'll just go back to the shape which was before. So when you actually move it like this, you're giving the direction on the mesial side to go inside. Sometimes some people use it like this. Not my favorite position, but this is a good place to go. Same, likewise, we can go on the central incisor. We can go on the central incisor to add an attachment. Also, we can choose which size and what shape and the position. Okay, so I will add a few things here about the rotation attachments. When you do a rotation, you can have ellipsoid, you can have root control attachments, you can have the first, number one. You can have both sides, the palatal side and the labial side. or you can have just the labial side, or you can just have the palatal side. If the patient does not agree with the aesthetic part to have the attachments, we can go only palatal. And we can do negative attachments on the medial side. Sometimes if a patient does not agree, so normally I have pliers to do activations on the aligner, but you can also go on doing a negative attachment on this case. A big one, you need big enough, because actually the kind of attachment that you will get in the mouth will be a lot less. And then you go negative. So this is what you're going to have. In the mouth is going to be, so actually the in-depth which goes inside the tooth is 1.1, but in the aligner is going to be like 0.2 or 0.3 only. It's a lot less. So sometimes you need to increase the thickness, so actually get a bigger one to get more in-depth inside the tooth. The problem with these will be that in the printings, when you print the models, you might get some errors, or you might get a bigger hole than you have actually planned for. I do use them rarely when the patient does not want attachments on the front, or I prefer to use pliers for doing the indents to get the. Okay, what size now? Let's talk about the size. So this is the size which we have right now. It's a 1.1. We can have a 1.2. The x-axis, it will be in this case the vertical axis. In this case, particularly when you hold it like that, and then the z-axis, you can just grow a little bit. This is good enough. So you can just note down 2.4, the x and the z-axis, and the thickness around 1.2. If you want to go for rotation on smaller teeth. Okay, now the second important thing will be position of the attachments. Why? Because the position of the attachment has to be as possible as incisal. Reason: whenever you want to move a tooth, if you have your attachment in the middle or on the side or on the medial side or the distal side, which is below the middle third, it will not actually give you a good rotation. So you need to be as incisal as possible to get the rotation. You have to create a movement. So that movement is possible only if you give attachments as incisal, as low as possible in the upper teeth and as up as possible on the lower teeth. So for rotation, you need to have one or two, or you can have on one side and you can use a plier on the other side if the patient does not agree. You should have the size which I've mentioned right now, 2.4, 1.2, 2.4, and you need to be as incisal as much possible on the corners, right? So as much possible on the corner. The more you are on the corner, you'll get a better movement on the tooth to get the rotations. So in case you have any questions about this, you can just write them and I'll see if you have any questions, or Matej just can tell me if somebody has any questions about this. So right now we are talking about rotation. So rotation, you can use optimized root control. I like these very much. I can use ellipsoid, and we can use the first attachments. Okay, so let's see if there are any other which are good enough. Okay, the square attachment is good enough. It doesn't really look good on the mouth, so I don't really use it. So the third is the oval attachment. Okay, fourth one, I don't really use this one. Not this one as well. 7, no. I think the most common, which will be for the rotation, which will be the first one, or you can use optimized root control or ellipsoid. Okay, any questions? Please just write down. So I think this was a very easy case to do, not difficult at all, and we can just check. Okay, just check how many aligners it comes to. In this case. Okay, so yes, okay, so it's going to be 2. Again, 2. Yeah, so it's going to be 8 aligners. I was thinking around 6, but it's going to be 8 aligners because we have done the movements in parts. Okay. So this was a very simple case. So now we will go to some cases which will be showing different movements. Let's see some. Which we will need some extrusion or intrusion. So normally in lower arch, we need a lot of intrusion on the front segment because you normally do have extrusion of the. They have extrusion of the lower anteriors. So let's talk about how do we do lower intrusion. So this is a case where we did a lot of lower intrusion. It's a deep bite case. Okay, so you can see a lot of attachments on this case. The reason I will just explain to you why. I'll just play it for you. You will see what movements have been planned, and then we can discuss why we have put in so many attachments on so many teeth, and the reason why I've chose particular attachment for particular tooth. So let's see, play. We'll just play with. We expand, we align, and we intrude the lower segment. So the intrusion is almost 2.5 to 3 millimeters on the lower teeth on the program, and the mouth is going to be a little less, of course. So I've never used aligners. How do we apply that on the teeth? Yeah, I'll just show it to you. How do we put attachment on the teeth? So we'll go to this virtual setup. So as you can see, we have different kind of attachments and on many teeth. So the first reason is we have very small teeth. You see, the teeth are very small. So the smaller the teeth, we need more surface area. We need pressure points on the tooth, which will help us to make the movement more predictable and to make sure that the aligner does not slide off these smaller teeth, right? So that's why we have maybe for a similar case in which the teeth are bigger, I will have maybe half of them. So in this case, if I have more of them, the reason is because the teeth are very small, right? So let's see what movement has been planned on the lower teeth and why I have chosen these kind of attachments for every particular tooth, right? So let's see the 4-1. 4-1 has a tip of 4.51 distal tip. Rotation is 1 degree. It's very less. It's not so much. Torque is -9. Why do we have -9 torque? Because we made a lot of buckle movement here. So the buckle movement is 3 millimeters. Okay, it's not going to be 3 millimeters in the mouth, but we need to compensate with the torque. We have an intrusion of 3.74. So this is an overcorrection of the intrusion which is going to happen in the mouth. It's not going to be 3.74 in the mouth. It's not really actually possible. But if I have planned 3.74, I expect at least to be 2 millimeters of intrusion, absolute intrusion. So when you make the intrusion, you need to have on the lateral side, you need to have attachments which will hold the aligner in place. So this is an rectangular beveled attachment. The regular size. Why do we have regular size? Because the teeth are small. If I had bigger teeth, I would have gone for a little bigger rectangular bevel attachments. In this case, we are going with the regular size because teeth are small. So these actually help us to hold the aligner in place when we're going for intrusion. Why do we have root control attachments on the front teeth? As I said, they help us to hold the aligner, and the pressure point is going to be here, which is going to move them down. So it's going to be actually an opposite of the extrusion attachment that we use normally, which is the horizontal bevel. It's the opposite of that, and is going to help us to keep the aligner in place and apply a pressure on the teeth to go down. One thing which I've seen with the experience here, which I would like to say, is that when we plan intrusion, we will not actually get the same intrusion on the canines, on the lateral incisors, on the central incisors. Reason, because the holding part which holds the aligner is number 4 and number 5, the premolars, right? So actually the pressure on the teeth farther from the premolars is less. So if the aligner is being held at number 4 and number 5 on both sides, the intrusion effect on the canines is more. The intrusion effect on the lateral incisor is less, and the intrusion on the central incisor is even less. So Invisalign, for example, has come up with a G8 smart force that they have compensated that the force will be equal on all the 6 teeth. But actually on our software, when we use it, we should know that it might be that the canines and the lateral incisors intrude a little more than the central incisors because of the reason that the force gets less as we move farther from the teeth which are holding the aligner. I think that will be clear for everybody. But the attachments here will help us to keep at least relatively equal forces on all the teeth, right? So we have almost all the front teeth. We have almost -3 of intrusion, -3 and -3 everywhere. And then we have on the canines as well around -3 of intrusion. But we do have also a big rotation on the canine, 26 degrees of rotation on the canines. So that's why we have an attachment on the mesial side with the force going towards the mesial side. We can also add a distal lingual attachment on the canine. I think we will just see with time, and if not, then we'll do some changes with the pliers on the canine if needed with time. So here we have 2 attachments which are vertical to hold the aligners to help in the intrusion. We have a horizontal aligner on the molar. Reason is because we didn't have enough space to hold it there, and we wanted to also do a movement which is lateral to open it up. On the upper also we have rectangular bevel attachments which will hold the aligner and help intrusion of the upper segment. And then we have on the premolar, because this is not actually the anchorage tooth, but it's going to help us to keep number 5 during the expansion, and likewise on number 6. And it's been done the same on the right side as well. Okay, so let's see, why do we have different attachments on the 1-2 and 2-2? So the 1-2 is actually doing no tip, no rotation, no torque, slight buccal movement, minus intrusion, very slight intrusion, and then a mesial distal movement of -0.6. So actually the attachment is there only to hold it in place because it's very small and to help maybe a little bit in the distal movement. But the 2-2, as you can see, has a rotation of 17 degrees. So we need an attachment on the incisal part and the mesial part as close as to the corner. Then a torque of -5, that will be expressed without any problems. We have a buccal lingual movement, 3 degrees, good enough. We have an intrusion of 0.4, so that's why we need bigger attachments on the canines to help that to intrude the upper anteriors. So I'll just play it again, and I believe it will be clear for everybody. So we're doing expansion, we're doing alignment, and we're doing intrusion. Okay, so we can also talk a lot about what movement has to be done first, what can be done together, what cannot be done together, how it can be done together in case needed, what are the minimum requirements to do the expansion or the intrusion together. I think, but we need a different webinar for that. Right now, we will talk more about attachments. So I think in this case, you have understood why do we have so many attachments? What did we plan here? And why did we plan here? Okay, so we have another question. Okay, yeah. So Matthias has answered him. Okay, so I hope this makes it clear for everybody. Do you have any questions for this particular case? Some might just ask me, why do we see the roots are outside the bone? Well, in the mouth, it's not going to be outside, it's going to be in the bone, but this is a compensation that you do so that you get the movement desired. Does anybody have any questions for this particular case?
Here's Sakin, here's just a question with the thickness of the aligners in the posterior, the same as in the front.
The thickness of the aligners?
Yes.
In this particular case?
For example, yes.
Okay, for this case, for example, if you have smaller teeth here and you have bigger teeth here, the thickness will be a little more, they'll be more thinner in the backside, but they will be more thick in the front because the size of the tooth is small. Normally, I have seen if you want to go for expansion and you want to go for intrusion, it's good or better with thicker aligners. Okay, our friend Nicholas from Vietnam, he uses 0.5 Biopril. I tried it a long time back, but I saw that the actual movement was not there, which he shows many cases like. So in this particular case, the thickness will be different because the size of the teeth is different, right? Yes. And the attachment side is also different. So the attachment on the premolars and the molars are bigger. So automatically the thickness of the film will become, of the sheets will become less. And in the front, they'll keep more, which is actually beneficial for us because we need bigger thickness to make intrusion. The pressure should be more on the teeth, right?
Yes, normally yes. Do you change the thickness of the foils? You will say for the first aligners it would be thicker, and at the least ones they would be thinner, and or would you say so this doesn't matter?
Yeah, this is a good question. So before I was using a different kind of sheets. So I was using single layer sheets before, which was tagless, and I was using American orthodontics. Then I was using also Biopril, it's also single layer, and I was using Duran also, which is also single layer. So with single layer, yes, you might be needing different thickness of sheets. So there is OrthoCaps from Germany. I think you know the doctor OrthoCaps.
Yes.
She is using two or three kind of thicknesses for the movements. You know, she's using daytime which are a little thinner, and nighttime which are thicker. And CA also, the clear aligner from Spain, is also using three kind of sheets: the soft, medium, and hard. For my lab, it's not really convenient to have so many sheets, different sheets for all kind of movements. What I've seen in my lab, if I use a 3-layer, which is the CA Pro Plus from Shoe Dental, which is effective for almost all kind of movement, for expansion, for intrusion, and then I don't really need to change the thickness of the sheet every time, because I have to write down everything on my sheet. So we have a sheet for the technician when we start to make the plan, right? And we have online also on the database. So we need to write down everything. So to avoid too much of inventory in the lab, we use right now just one. That is a CA Clear Aligner Pro Plus, which I have seen in my experience works well for almost all kind of movements. So if somebody is using different kind of sheets, I do understand the idea, but we just use one kind. As Nicholas also from Vietnam, he's using just one kind, 0.5, which I believe is too thin. We use 0.75. The effective from 0.75 CA Pro Plus comes to 0.7, 0.68 effective after the thermoforming.
What do you think about a thickness for around about 1 millimeters?
I tried, but no. In this case, for example, no, you cannot use 1 millimeter. If you use 1 millimeter, it's too thick. The patient cannot take it out, and it's very, very painful for the patient. And some of the teeth in the beginning. So let's see this patient, right? So if you are here, the 1-0, it will not even enter. It's too much. It's too much crowded for the arch to enter. So 0.75 3-layered, which is very, very flexible, is a good thing. Or 0.5, as our friend Nicholas used it, which I do agree in such, maybe in the beginning, So in somebody wants to use in the beginning 0.5 or 0.65. So we also have CA 0.65. It's the medium one from the clear aligner.
Yes.
We do start sometime with CA and then go on to Pro Plus, or we start with Pro Plus and then we go on to CA. Reason, some cases. So the first case which I showed you with a very minor rotation, sometimes the Pro Plus is very flexible. Even after the compensation, the overcorrection that you have done, it just might not do the movement completely. So then I go on to CA. So I make the last aligner with the CA sheet, which is a little thicker. Not thicker, it's a little hard compared to the Pro Plus. Or I use a tagless. Tagless is more hard. Then you can just press the teeth into place. It also depends on the movements which you have planned. You know, sometimes you're going distal movement and down movement together. So you need a flexible sheet. If you have a sheet which is not flexible, it will not make the tooth go to the final position. So if you want multiple movements on the tooth, you need to have a flexible sheet. Like, for example, Invisalign can do multiple movements, 3D movements together. Reason being because they use SmartRec, which is a 3-layered sheet, which is more flexible. Or our friend from Malaysia, Ruben, he has his sheet TriStar, also flexible sheet. I've tried that sheet also. But if you use tagless or if you use other sheets which are hard, then you cannot plan multiple movements at the same time because the sheet will not allow the multiple movement at the same time.
Okay. Yes, this is one of the questions the dentist I has asked for. How do we respect the thickness in posterior less than posterior? If we don't need intrusion, we just take it with the burr. I think he will say to grind it out or something else. But I think this is not the.
Okay, so I can read the question. How do we respect the thickness in posterior less than posterior if we don't need intrusion?
Yes.
Okay, so if I have understood the question right, the question is that can we decrease the thickness on the posterior side, right? This is the question.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if you want less posterior thickness, easier way is to make the model on the posterior a little bigger, the base bigger. So when you thermoform, your sheet on the posterior will be little, one of the ways, you can have a base like this. The posterior is bigger and the anterior is smaller, right?
Yes.
So when you do thermoforming, the posterior thickness will be less, but there is no control. So sometimes you might have 0.5, 0.6. I think this question normally appears because the sheet is not flexible. For flexible sheets, this question should not be there. This is only for the sheets which are one layer, single layer. This is what I believe. Because I've tried all kinds of sheets. I've tried around 7 or 8 different companies. So I've seen maybe only for single layer. For multiple layers, I don't think this is a problem actually.
Yes. Okay. I think this is a good thing for if the printing thing is in the starting. Yes, but at the moment I think the materials are a little bit tricky to print the liners. But this is something will come in the next year. I think roundabout.
We are going to print. We just got a new printer with the clear aligner. Clear aligner. I'll just show you. We just received it last week.
Yes.
We are going to do. So this is the newer the unis, the clear aligner light cure resin. So we're going to.
What manufacturer would this be?
Sorry.
What manufacturer would this be?
This is Unis. Unis, who does the slash printer, slash
printer. Yeah, okay. This is a graphic one.
Yeah. So, okay, they just sent one to me to just to see how it works out. So we'll be printing 2 or 3 aligners next week. So I can just post how it came out actually to see the results. Did you try these?
Yes, I have tried something else with Keysplint Soft, but Keysplint Soft is too soft. It's not works.
Did you try this one, the Unis one, or no?
No. The Unis one, not no.
Okay, so I'll be trying it next week, and I'll be posting maybe a small video or a small post about the clear aligner if it works really, and how does it feel in the mouth. So I'm going to try it on me actually. So we're going to do it for me, and I'm going to try it on my mouth. How does it actually feel,
And then to the patient, yes.
No. I cannot try it on the patient. I'll try it on myself, and they'll see.
Yes, this is the right one. This is the right way.
Yeah. So I'll see the feel, and I'll see the pressure. I can see how it's going to be worked.
Yes. Some question about the thermoforming machine you're using. You're using a vacuum or a pressure one?
Pressure forming, of course. I was using in the first few days when I ordered the BioStar. It was still not here in Moldova, so I had the one Chinese one, the simple, the the vacuum forming one, but I could tell you that my patients, I've tried in the same patient, I've tried with the same model, the vacuum form and the pressure form, and there is a difference, especially when you do bigger movements. The patient can tell you that I can feel it's exactly adapted to your teeth with the same sheet actually. So we use pressure form, BioStar, and we have one BioStar and one Ministar in the lab. We also have as a backup the Chinese one, the
yes,
vacuum one, in case one day something happens, the compressor is not working. So the vacuum one is good, it doesn't need a compressor, but the BioStar and the Ministar we use with the compressor. So that is just like a backup which is there in case one day something will happen. We just might need to do work with something else.
Perfect.
Yeah. So okay, so we'll go on with the other attachments, right? We will talk about extrusion now. So let's see a case where I think extrusion will be planned or was planned, and then what exactly could we get there? Okay, so before that, I'll just open up a few cases which I have put up on my screen. Can you see this now? So this is an Invisalign case, one of my cases.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah, so this is one of my Invisalign cases. So the good thing about why I wanted to show this case was that this is a case where we have two lateral incisors which are rotated. The 2-2 is rotated around 45 degrees, and the 1-2, the right lateral incisor, is rotated almost 80 degrees, And as you can see, this has no attachment on it. There is no attachment. So I was not sure, is it going to work or it is not going to work? So I'm just going to show you the planning, which was done by me, and then I'll show you the actual results which happened in the mouth, and why here in such a big rotation, there was no attachment and we had very good results. So we'll just show you, I'll just show you the planning. So there was a big expansion of the upper arch. We changed the arch from a square to the round oval shape, right? So, okay, but the 6 and 7 were not actually expanded this big. They were expansion less than what you show on the screen. But you can see the lateral incisor, this one, this has changed completely. And actually, this is what happened in the mouth. I'll just show you the records also. The reason why this happened was because when you have in the beginning, this is something which everybody should understand about attachments. When you do need 100% attachment, and some cases where you can do it without attachments, with such a big rotation on a small tooth, right? The reason is that when you have a tooth which can actually be enveloped completely by the aligner sheet, so the pressure is more on the tooth. So any tooth which is covered by the adjacent tooth and you're trying to make movement, it will not make movement. So in this case, with no attachments, the lateral incisor both sides, they actually moved exactly as in the planning, because you can actually cover the entire tooth with what? With the sheet, right? So whenever you see movements which can actually engulf the entire tooth for rotations, you can avoid attachments. But if you can put, it's good. Yes, the patient was here she didn't agree to put attachment on the first 4 teeth, so we only had on the lateral teeth. But I was not very sure of the movement, but it actually happened the way it was planned here. I think if I have the records. Yeah, so we can see that this is what it was, and I'll just go on to the other one, and I can see if we have the final one. Now in the last we added, you see, this is for refinement. So we got almost 70 degrees of rotation without the attachments. See now, this is for refinement. So we actually got the movement just to make sure that we don't have to do a third refinement, second refinement. We added the attachments. But here you can see this is after the first plan. It worked out pretty good. And the arch shape was pretty good after the first planning. Wow. So here, the final thing was movement of like 8 degrees on the lateral incisors. I convinced the patient that if she doesn't want a second refinement, we should add attachments. And you can see Invisalign also uses the same kind of attachment which I was talking about, right? So for rotations, this is, according to me, one of the best attachments which you can use for rotation, besides the ellipsoid and the first number 1 attachment. These are more sure, and you plan the the position and the shape according to the movement which you want to plan. Okay, so this is why I wanted to show you one of the cases where we didn't really need in the beginning attachments to get the result done, almost 70 degrees of rotation with no attachments, and just added attachments on the last to make sure that it's going to be 100%. Okay, I think we have a question. Which material you use for template and liner? It is comfortable for patients with so many attachments. Yes, so this is also a very good question from Sylvia. Which material do you use for template and aligners? It is comfortable for patients with so many attachments. Yes, so for template, we use a 0.4 or 0.5, which is also from Shoe Dental. Or we have a company from Korea, which is also 0.4 actually. So in cases where we need attachment or we need template and where the teeth are very crowded, we use 0.4. In this case, with the one which we showed you, it was 0.5. Is it comfortable for the patient with so many attachments? Yes, and I will tell you why. So let's see the case which we just showed you, because this is a good question actually. Is it comfortable for the patient to remove the aligner with so many attachments? Because sometimes you just might feel that it's not really so comfortable for the patient. So I will tell you why it's not so difficult for the patient. So I'll just show because the lower one has more attachments, right? So we'll just have a look at the attachment, right? So if you see the retentive part of the attachments is on the posterior teeth, right? The anterior teeth will just be pressing. So if I move this attachment, I just try to explain so you will understand. So when you try and move the attachment the opposite way, it becomes retentive. So they have been placed not for retention, but for pressure. You understand the difference? So you can have the same attachment put the opposite way in which it will be retentive, or you can have the attachment which will be put in the way it is right now, which will be pressure forming. So right now, these attachments will have actually a pressure on the tooth compared to the retention. So the same way, if you see the rectangular bevel ones, so you have a 90-degree bevel, 90 degree here, and the upper is bevel, right? So if you move them 90 degrees, 180 degrees, right? So the retention has gone almost half. So that is the reason. So when you want retention, you should have the surface which is near the gingiva, which is flat. So the aligner will come and hold, but the upper part will be pressure forming, right? Not which will hold the aligner. So the front teeth with so many attachments is actually just holding the aligner. It's not retentive in the front. It's retentive only in the posterior side. So the patient can actually remove it easily. And for any kind of patient, you should know that the aligner has to be taken out always on the lingual side. Always on the lingual side. If you take out the aligner from the buccal side, it's not easy. Why? Because the moment you take out the aligner from the lingual side, you're actually pushing it away from the attachments, right? So if you have the model and you try and push it from the lingual side and you take it out, you're actually pushing it from the attachment, and it comes off easily from both sides. If you take it from the label side outside, it's going to press on the attachments. So removal of the aligners has to be always from the lingual or the palatal side, never from outside. I think this makes it clear, right? Okay, so can I do expansion with rotation simultaneously with 3-layer sheets? Of course. Can I do? Yes. So this is also a good question. Can we do expansion? Yes. With rotation, you can do almost all the movements which go in the same direction, right? So for example, you want to make intrusion. So in normal cases for intrusion, can we go back? It's not a good idea. Can we go in front? Yes, it's a good idea. For example, in the lower teeth, right? The lower teeth are in the bone. So if you would do intrusion and you go the crown forward, it's good because the root stays in the root in the bone. If you do intrusion and you want to go back and you move the root outside, it's not good for intrusion. So you have to remember, if you do any kind of movement which is in the same direction, you can do it together. How do we do expansion with rotation? First thing is you need expansion. Yes, you can do rotation only if you have space. So if you have no space, you cannot do rotation and expansion together. When you expand, you see the space, you start rotating. You cannot start rotating a tooth which has no space. So you can do expansion with rotating, yes. Can you do it together? Only if you have space. If you don't have space, you cannot do it together.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, so Halil, what is the maximum
you-
velocity per aligner regarding
Yes.
translation and rotation?
Yes.
Okay, so the maximum velocity per aligner is also depending on many things. It's the size of the tooth. It depends on the sheet. It depends on the attachment. It depends on the number of days you want to wear the aligner, right? So Dr. Kenji from Japan, he uses his change rate is 3 to 5 days. I don't know how he does it, but he changes aligner 3 to 5 days. I cannot do it. I tried. It doesn't work in my case. So he uses the OrthoPulse, the OrthoPulse appliance, which is photobiomodulation of the teeth. I have not tried. It's not available in Moldova, so I'm not sure. But velocity will depend on the size of the teeth. The bigger the teeth, the more force you have on the teeth. It's more covered. You can actually move them faster per sheet, not faster per se, not every month, but faster per sheet, per aligner. Okay, you can move them on the movement which you have planned. You can move it depending on the attachments used and the sheet. Why the sheet? Because some sheets like tagless, for example, which I've used, if you have a like this, you have class 2. When you want to enter and the sheet is not flexible, it will never enter the lateral incisors completely, right? So if it doesn't enter the lateral incisors completely, that means you don't have full coverage, that you cannot have faster movements. You need to have slow movements, right? For bodily movements as well, you need slow. You cannot go like premolar movement, complete body movement faster. You just cannot do that. You have to be slow because the crown will move, but the resistance of the movement is entirely in the bone. You need to go slow. You cannot go fast, right? So let's say you asked me translation and rotation, right? That's a good question. So in my case, I use multiple layer sheets. Rotation is 2.5 to 3 degrees normally. Some cases, smaller teeth, I'll go to 2 degrees, 1.8 to 2 degrees smaller teeth. Translation, normally we use 0.2, 0.21. That's the maximum which you use. But if you have the panoramic X-ray, if you see big roots, so for we have a case in which we move both the canines. The right side canine moved perfectly. The left side moved halfway and the root remained back. Even if we have the same movements, same attachment, same surface area. Why? Because the root of the canine was around 3 millimeters longer than the right side. So you need to see that also. You need to see the bone. You need to see the form. Maybe if possible, you can see the CBCT. You can see the shape of the root as well. A root which is conical, it'll move easily. If you have a figure of 8, oval, or with a depression on the root, it's going to move very slower. Okay, with time you can see all of these and you will get to know. Per se, we can say like this. So the velocity per aligner for translation 0.2 if you're using multiple layer sheet. Rotation 2.5 till 3 if for multiple layer sheets. If for single layer sheets, then I would use maybe 1.5 to 2 degrees, not more than that, never, because it's not going to work. And then the size of the teeth, please. The bigger the teeth, the better it's for you. The smaller teeth, you have to go slow.
How often would you say it's good enough to change the steps? Every 7 days or every 14 days?
So my now standard of change is 10 days right now, because I've seen what movements I make, I've seen what sheet I use. So my standard is 10 days right now. If we see it's lagging somewhere and we see the patient is doing it good, but the teeth are bigger, the roots are bigger, we go to 12 days. If we see the teeth are tracking perfectly, we go to 8 days. So right now it's between 8 to 12. So the medium, the normal which we use is 10 days. Okay. With my protocols, the velocity which we use and the sheet. So I think it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the sheets, tooth size, root size, and the size of the tooth as well, and attachments also.
Yes.
So I can just show you one case where we did a lot of retraction, and I'll just show you what attachment did we use on those. Okay.
Perfect.
Are we okay with time, or
Yes, we have a few minutes. I think 10, 12, 15 minutes, just around about.
Okay. So what is the maximum velocity per layer? So what kind of movements can we do per layer? So I'm going to post for you the movement which I do per layer. Okay. And then I can explain to you, or do you want me to talk about this right now per layer? So per layer, basically we do movements which have to be in one direction, right? So you change a layer because you want to change direction of the movement. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. So you cannot do movement. You can go distal and mesial rotation, tipping. You cannot go do that, right? So when you do distal, you have to do distal tipping. You cannot go mesial tipping and distal together. It's not going to work. So that is what you have to see. That's why you need different layers. How many teeth? So how many teeth? So you need, you can move actually all teeth. It's not just one tooth. You need to have space, and you need to have coverage. You know, the aligner should fit. If the aligner will not fit, it means you cannot put for all the teeth, right? So the movement depends on the space which you have to fit the aligner, which is very important to understand. Okay, Avriliv is asking us, sorry I'm late, is the webinar being recorded? Yes. The measurements you have just mentioned are per aligner. Yes, the measurements which we have mentioned are per aligner, and I'll try to make a post of the general standards which I use for per aligner, and maybe change it a little bit for different kind of tooth shape and size of the roots and everything. Okay. So which other movement would you like to see? Okay, just let's see. We have a case where we're doing right now premolar extractions on the upper, very difficult case. We are 50% through, and we've almost finished that case. So in this case, what we do is I do my first planning, which is not complete. And then after 6 months, I do a rescan, or maybe 8 months, I do a rescan to see everything is going as planned. Or if I see everything is going as planned, then I make the next steps on the same plan. Because this is actually a very difficult case, even for, I think for me, for Invisalign, it's a difficult case for me. So but the patient insisted for aligners, and for me, it was a good chance to actually try my aligners to see can we do bigger extraction cases with our setups. You know, sorry, I'm just sorry. Camera just moved, right? Okay, so this is one of the cases. I'll do just a play to see, you will understand why this is a very difficult case. So just display. So we extracted the premolars. So a lot of compensation here, a lot of layers, a lot of overcorrection of the roots, of the teeth. Do you see the upper anterior teeth, right?
Yes.
Do you see the torque?
Yes.
So the torque is 15 degrees more than what we need, you know, because we are going to retract almost 8 millimeters, right? So when you retract, you need to have a lot of compensation. And I have not completely finished this. You see that I've left the space in the first plan because I'm not sure if it's going to work out the same way. So I have just let it be here. And then I will plan the next to see the movements, what have happened in the mouth, right? So most of the cases where we have problems are extraction cases. Why? Because we need to move the roots completely. We need bodily movements, right? So if you see the premolar, the molars, both the molars, they have a compensation of the tip of 15-degree root tip and on the medial side. You can actually see the 7. The 7 is actually, you know, it's mesially distally tipped the crown. So you have the attachments on the canine, you have attachments on the premolars. What is good here is the size of the teeth. They are big teeth, so which is good for us. And I think I might have some photos for him as well. Okay, just let me check if I have the photos. Yeah, so these are the photos which are going on right now. So we were like this, right? Complete proclination. We planned for extraction. Patient came back after 4 months. We have the canine retraction. We have the premolar movement in the front. So the canine here is almost class 1. No, it's not complete class 1. It's almost class 1. You see, it was class 2 and it's almost class 1. We have kept the roots distally. We have not changed the roots. The canine here is almost class 1. And you see the roots are also distal. We have tried to keep the roots distal here. So this is 4 months through. So we're going to have some photos after. I have some photos in the lab also. So I want to discuss this. If you are interested, we can talk about this case. Why don't we have attachments on the front teeth, you know? Because we just need on the front teeth to keep the torque. So we have actually, we have used palatal torque with pliers to keep the roots inside the bone. So there's no torquing of the roots, you know? Normally when you retract, you have torquing of the roots. So we have planned it like that we keep the roots inside the bone. Okay, this is because normally for me it was a very difficult situation when we started off with the extraction patients in our lab. Okay, so next thing is, if you see here, we have a different kind of attachments here, also for intrusion. These are also intrusion attachments, you know, on the 4 and 5. The difference between these ones and the rectangular ones is the surface area on the lower side, you know, because I would like sometimes to get some extrusion. So the rectangular bevel, the surface on the lower side is smaller. Okay, you can always make it bigger, but if you use these ones and you make them bigger, they can give you a little more extrusion on the teeth as well, sometimes if you need it. So you can do actually the leveling of the curve of P by intrusion and extrusion of the posterior teeth with these kind of attachments. If you want to keep them, then the rectangular bevels are better. They just keep it, but they don't have enough surface area to make the extrusion. Okay, it has the effect, but it will not make so much. So if you want leveling with the intrusion and extrusion, then these are better. These are better attachments for the extrusion of the posterior teeth when you need that. Okay.
It's a very crazy case for Linus, I have to say.
Yes, I have crazy cases. I have crazy cases actually. So I have so we will I can just show you one more case also. So this is all the cases where we did refinement. So this is the first case, this is the first planning, and then also extraction case. This is working perfectly fine. I think I posted this case on the forum, the extraction case. So this is the case where I'll just press play. So you see here, it's a different protocol than the first case which I showed you. Here, what we did was we did retract, rotate the canine, move the premolars all together. Why? Because the canines were almost class 1 here. So this was a good case for us. The mistake was the attachment on the molar on the 2/6 was not correct in the beginning. So this was my mistake. Yes. Then I changed it over to a rectangular beveled vertical with mesial tip of the roots, and then I just corrected the position. So this is what we should not be doing. This is not what we should be doing. This is one of my mistakes which I did in the beginning. It is an old case.
Without mistakes, you can't learn again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
So this
What
is
do you
one of
say?
my.
What do you normally say for the foils? Would you say it's enough just to cover the tooths, or is it better? In my opinion, normally I would say yes, to get the soft tissue also with the foil.
Of course, the more the surface area, the better for you, because so one of my friends,
Yes,
he's also working with the lines a lot of things. So he says that in his way of working, he can get actually extrusion of anterior teeth of around 0.8, 0.9 millimeters. I've tried that, it didn't work for me, because he says if the teeth are not covering the entire tooth surface until the gingiva,
yes,
then this part, the cervical part is actually very, very retentive, which is good for us.
yes,
So it can also help us for extrusion without any attachments.
yes.
If you make the movement slower, right? Or after you have done the aligner for example, if you have the aligner, so you have the aligner and you have beyond the gums, you can actually make, points of retention with the pliers. So you can actually do movements which are extrusive with the aligner without any attachment. So I would always agree with sheets which are covering a part of the gums, not just till the teeth. More the surface area, the better for you. If you have a surface area which is less, then it's not really good for you. I would like to just tell you one more thing in this case. This attachment, I like it very much. It's called the prism left or the prism right. It's here on the so this is the the prism left or the prism right. Why do I like this attachment? Why? Because this has a very good retentive form, and it presses the tooth the way you want it, left side or right side. So in case you see this, so this is the prism left, which will actually have pressure from the left side towards the right side. And if you want to go on the other side, it's the same, You have the prism right, and this one will pressure from the right to the left. So this is actually a good attachment, which I like a lot, which helps us a lot to make bodily movements. If you put the right size and then the right position, so they have to be centered a little above. If you can see here, they're a little above the center. They're not on the center, right? Why? Because you need to be as close as to the center of resistance. If you're down, it will make more of tipping. You need to be at least not in the middle, a little above the middle. So here you can see the attachment is not in the middle of the tooth, it's upper, because you want to make body movement.
Yes.
So as I was saying, so for all kind of attachments, we need to check the size, the shape, position, and the number of attachments. So we can have actually, for this tooth, we can also have a palatal attachment also. So you can actually move it like, both sides. We don't really practice it all the time, but you can do it like that. That you can have, for most of the cases, bilateral attachments to make sure that the teeth will actually move to the right place. So once you start working, you will understand that the size of the tooth, if it's smaller, you might need 2 attachments. So in this case, the size of the tooth is bigger. It's a big tooth size. So I didn't really put it on both the sides. But if it was a smaller tooth, I would have put it on both the sides. Any questions here? Anybody has any questions?
At the moment, not.
Oh, okay. So as I said, this was my mistake. Then later on, I changed to the right. I changed onto the in the next plan. I changed it over to the right attachment on the molars for the mesial movement and for the mesial dipping.
Yes.
I would like to share. I'd like to tell you one thing very important for attachments. Because today we are talking more about attachments. Any kind of attachment will only help you if you have done the right planning. So the first thing is diagnosis, which doctor does it for you, right? or the lab, it gets it from the doctor, right? Second thing is the planning, because you can do as many attachments as you would like, but if the planning is not good, the attachment will not help you. Which many people think that it's only the attachment which will help you. Yes, they do help a lot, but if you plan a case not correctly, the attachment will not help. So now I want to show you two cases. I've tried around 20 labs around the world. I've sent my cases to see what they give back to me. Maybe something which I'm not doing, maybe something, because they always do a test case, you know, for everybody. So I get a lot of offers from many companies. So I've sent them, and I've saved the planning from them. And I just want to show you the planning. And I will not talk about the attachment because the planning is not correct. So we cannot talk about attachments when the planning is not correct, right? So I'll just show you a few cases which I sent and I got back. This. So this is a case. As you can see, it's now this is the finished case, right? So let's go to the 0. So it's a class 2 case, complete class 2 case. Okay, complete class 2 case. So the planning, so let's have a look at the planning here. They have done whole arch distalization. I don't know how. So this is the planning they sent back to me. So I asked them that you cannot be actually doing movement of 12 or 14 teeth together with implants, with elastics, it won't work. And you have to compensate for the anterior torque. You see, the torque in the last is back, which is not correct. You have to be compensated in the form if you're doing distalization, right? And you see that the movement is completely, everything is moving back behind. This is not going to happen in the mouth. In the mouth, it's impossible, right? So any kind of attachment that you do here will not help you. So you have to do the first thing is planning, right? Planning, right? So you have to think like this. You have to go in one side with same movement. You cannot go two different directions in the same step. So this is one of the things which I wanted to show today also. Maybe they do other cases pretty good, but this case, for example, for me, any kind of attachments which you can put here will not help you to get the movement because this movement is not possible. I got another one. It's done on 3Shape by another doctor, another technician doctor. So also you can see the planning is not okay. So any kind of attachments will not help here because the planning is not okay. You see number 4-1 is doing a lot of intrusion. You see number 4-1 is going almost 3 to 4 millimeters of intrusion. You cannot make intrusion. So let's see again. You see number 4-1, this 4-1 is doing a lot of intrusion, right? So you don't have any retention on the posterior teeth. You cannot expect intrusion on the anterior teeth, right? So this is wrong planning. So I would like to say that all of us who would do plannings, first we plan the case and then we put the attachments. It should not be the opposite. We put the attachment and then when we plan the case. So that's one of the mistakes which I believe many people make. That they want to make the attachments first, and then they want to plan for the movements. No, you need to do the movements first. So this is 3Shape. I'm not saying 3Shape is not good. 3Shape is very good. Onyx Safe is pretty good, but the planning is totally not done right now. Okay, so anybody of us who wants to work, we should be working like this. We should be doing, first thing is planning the movement, and then according to the movement, plan the attachment. Right? Do we agree, Matthias?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because
you know you have to know the end result to make your way to this.
Yeah.
Yes. So one question is here: do you use negative attachment or power rich?
Yes.
This is always
so
the question.
I talked about this. We are working with our my friend Alexander here. why don't we get, when we do torque control on the upper, so many times we don't get a good torque control. So that's where we need power rages, or we need negative attachments, right? So what we did was, we did power rages with the pliers. We have a set of 16 pliers, different pliers for different movements, and negative attachments on the tooth, on the gingival part and the upper teeth, or on the palatal side, incisal palatal side, to get the movement,
Yes.
But we have also been doing negative attachments on premolars now to get better retention and to get more push on the anterior teeth.
Okay.
So this is a new thing which we are working with our team, that when we want to make torque, we need to have like a spring, like a spring movement, right?
Yes.
So to get the spring movement, we do negative attachments on premolars, where the sheet will press on the premolars, and there is a power ridge on the anterior side. So it's going to be like a spring,
Yes.
So we're going to make a torque movement and a positive movement with negative attachments on the palatal incisal side and on premolars. So the aligner will, it will fit in the mouth, the power ridges on the premolar and on the central will act like a spring and move the teeth forward. So yes, we do use negative attachments. The only problem with negative attachments is that printing errors might come up, or when you make the sheet. So for example, you have made 1.2 negative attachment, but in the sheet it will not be 1.2, it might be 0.2, 0.3. So that's a big problem. You have to find exactly how much you want it to go inside to get. So maybe on the
this would be better in the future with printing.
Yes, with the printing, yes, with the printing it will be pretty good. Yes. Do you use the attachment on the lingual palatal side? Yes, we do use. Can you show extrusion of upper lateral incisor? Yes. So extrusion of upper lateral incisor is a very, very big question. Everybody wants to know what we can do to do, and especially of lateral incisors, right? So I was talking with Dr. Nicozes. He developed a sash attachment. So there are like a couple of that yin-yang attachments, sash attachment by Dr. Nicozes, Jonathan Nicozes from New York. Then we have Invisalign new attachment, which has come up. It's a horizontal optimized attachment for extrusion. So I'll just show you what I use for it. Okay, I'll just show you. Any more questions?
Is the intrusion not made by the aligner itself? Also a question.
I didn't really get the question. Not but done by the aligner itself because of the pressure of the teeth.
Yes, I think this is the question. But like you have said, yes, he writes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So yes, so it's like a biplane, whenever you have a biplane in orthodontics, right? Whenever the teeth are actually touching another surface, they will always have a reciprocating effect. So that means when you have aligners on the posteriors and the patient bites, he sleeps, he talks, there is always an intrusion force on the teeth. Yes, there is always. But we have more of intrusion forces on the posterior and a little bit on the anterior. Why is that so? Because again, the surface area. We should understand, right? You have more surface area on the posterior and less surface area on the anterior. So we have more intrusion on the posterior, yes. So that is also one of the cases we have open bites. So we have to compensate for that open bite by anterior movements. So the final touch will be the same. They will not change. Or you add attachments on the posterior teeth, which will keep the aligner in place with no intrusion effect. I'll just try to show you one of those cases.
Yes.
Okay, so is intrusion not made by yes? So yes. I think Avri, you got the answer, right?
Yes.
So Zain is asking regarding the case you presented that the planning was wrong due to excessive intrusion. Yes. So I have shown you the same case before. So we have that case in which when you do intrusion, you need to have retentive attachments on the adjacent teeth. You cannot make intrusion without retention on the adjacent teeth. So in that case, which I showed you, the technician is doing intrusion on 4-1, number 4, the lower central incisor, but he has no retention on the adjacent teeth, which is number 4 and 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, both sides, right? So he's doing 3 on both sides, 2 on one, and 1 is more. So you are doing actually intrusion with no retention. So remember, aligners are push. If there is no push from the sides, it will not work. If you just push here, it will just go up on the posterior, it will not work. So it's like this, you're pushing here and there's no retention. So what will there? This will go up. This will not push down. It's very simple. Okay, not only with the bite. Did you answer the issue of recording this webinar? Yes, the webinar will be recorded. Yes.
Yes, it's recorded, and at the end I will post a link for downloading or viewing again at the end in the Maestro group. Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about extrusion. So let's talk about extrusion right now. Okay, so let's see this case, right? Okay, so this case, it was like, let's say it was a case of lower upper lateral incisor, which has to be extrusion, right? So first thing which you need to see, and let's say it was also rotated, right? A little bit. So this is a normal case which you find a lateral incisor which is rotated, and you need to do extrusion, right?
Yes.
So as I said, you cannot do 2 movements in different directions. You have to go in the same direction, right? So it means we can do rotation, extrusion, yes. But it means we need to make sure that the attachment is in the direction of the extrusion and of the rotation. So if you have any, let's see, if you want to add a normal case, we add horizontal beveled. This is normal case scenario. We use like these attachments for extrusion, normal cases, right? I think everybody knows this, that horizontal bevel is a normal attachment for extrusion, right? Okay. So if you put it like this, you're going again wrong side, because you're putting it in the center, right? And you want a mesial rotation. So what is happening is that there is pressure on the distal side as well. So the rotation will not happen completely. Okay. So you need to make sure that your extrusion attachment has to be mesial, has to be good size, and you have to go extrusion. Okay, you see the shape now?
Yes.
Okay, this is one kind. Or you go on to a rectangular beveled one. I like these a lot. So you go to rectangular beveled one. You are doing rotation, right? So as I said, you need to have rotation. You need to have rotation. It means your attachment has to be as much possible on the corner. If you go in the middle, you're not helping the aligner. You have to be as mesial and as much possible in the corner, right? So you get the movement more easily. Okay, and then from here, make it a little bigger so you get more surface area, and then you need to do, the torque. 10 degrees is fine. So what you did right now was you added torque to get the force from the upper to the down, right? You actually did rotation help because you put it on the corner. You need it on the corner. You don't need it if you put it here. So if you put it here in the middle, it's not going to help for your rotation, right? This is not the right position to put it. You have to put it as much as possible on the corner, like this, and then you have to have the same movement as the rectangular beveled. So you will get the extrusion as well as the rotation. Now the question should be the speed, the velocity of movement. So the governing will be the extrusion. What I would like with Maestro to change with in future would be that I can change velocity for every tooth separately, that will be very good. So I can change the rotation, I can change the extrusion for every tooth separately, not the general arch. So that will help us a lot to make the tracking very good for all the aligners. So this is what you can use in case you have a rotation, and you have a rotation, and then you have extrusion. I think it's clear why we do like that, right? So if you use, in this case, for example, rectangular bevel, horizontal bevel, which is a normal case, so if you use this one, you are not helping the rotation. Yes. So rotation is not help right now. You see it's in the middle. Yes. It's good for extrusion. Yes. But for rotation, no. So you need to think about rotation as well. So you need to go more mesial. You need to go more bigger on the near the corner of the tooth, and you can just make it a little shorter, for a little thinner for extrusion. And what will help is in the future, if you need buttons, you have enough space for buttons, you know.
Yes.
In case you need buttons in the future. I think I made this clear.
Here's some question. Can you place the attachments automatically? I mean, the app is the app in charge.
Yet.
Yes.
Not yet.
The one click aligner. I think this is the wish from us all.
No, not yet. So Archform has come up with automatic attachments. I've tried that also, but anyways, I don't like those, so I have to change it myself.
It's your experience and it's your effort, and you have the knowledge of it. And how can a software handle this? I don't also. I also think
for some basic movements, yes. For example, if I will be making my software like in Maestro, if I will work with Andrea, right?
Yes.
So I will tell him, if you have a surface area, let's see in square centimeters, right? So when you have a buccal surface area with minimum, let's say 7 square centimeters or 6 square centimeters, then we don't need, like, for example, right? If we have 4 square centimeters and it's round, we need, yes. So we can actually get to a point, yes. So it's going to be at least maybe 50 or 60 combinations for every single tooth.
Yes.
What kind of attachment, which place, and then if Andrea can incorporate all those in the software, yes, maybe yes, maybe yes.
We need more KI.
So if we think that every case is the same, no. So you need to work on the surface area. You need to see the shape of the tooth. You need to see which simultaneously movement which is going to happen, right? Not just one movement. Maybe you're doing rotation with extrusion, like this case as I showed you. So you need to change again. So if somebody who has done 2,000, 3,000 cases, if he sits with the team and we all work together to make it happen, yes, it's possible. Yes. Right now, no. Right now, no. But I think, as I said, do the planning first, which is more important, and then plan for the attachment, not the opposite. Okay. So that is going to be your basic for today. Plan the movement first and then the attachment.
Yes.
Right. Anybody with any more questions?
At the moment, not.
Okay. So I would like to just finish off with maybe I wanted to show you a case where we're doing how do we plan so we can use I like a lot these prism attachments, you know.
Yes.
For lateral movements, horizontal beveled for extrusion. Normally intrusion you don't need, but you can use them, of course. For rotation, single tooth rotation, I like optimized root control attachments from the Maestro. For what else do we do? For the tip. So for the tip, we also have 3 or 4 kind of attachments, right? So let's say the same tooth.
Sometimes you are replacing the attachments?
Sometimes. Not all the times. Not all the time. So normally what I do is I see the final outcome.
Yes.
And I use something which is in the middle. So as I said, like for this lateral, right? I can do only rotation in the beginning, and then I can do later on, I can do the extrusion. But I'm doing extrusion with rotation, yes, with the attachment modified and the position modified.
Okay.
And then so let's see if this is a tooth which is tipped, right? It is tipped mesially, let's say.
Yes.
So this has 2 problems. One, it's a very small tooth, which is not very good. It's a very, very small tooth, which is not good. The good part here is that it has enough surface area on the mesial and the distal part, which is very good. So you have to get the movement done, which means that you need movements here mesially, here distally, right?
Yes.
So let's see what all options do we have for attachments to get such a movement. We have 3 options. One is the yin yang, the optimized root control, this kind of attachment we can use. So this is the optimized, let's use it here. So one is the optimized root control attachment, which we can use. Copy.
Okay. The other side, yes.
Okay, so let's say this is what they call it, yin yang or something like that. Okay, so this is for tip, yes. So you will have this surface which is pushing it mesially, this surface which is pushing it distally, and you make the movement, right? This is one of them. So I saw on a forum, I will not name the forum, but somebody had planned this kind of attachment, but they were put like this. So I'll just show you how it was put. In the center of the teeth, they were put correctly, but the position was not correct. So this was the position.
If you make it so, I think nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen, exactly. This is only for attention, only for attention. Nothing will happen because you need to plan the movement. You have to understand where you want to have the force vector. If the force vector is not correct, there's no movement. So this was a mistake done by somebody. I don't remember the forum and the doctor, but I saw that. So this is one of the places which you remember. You have to go as mesial, as incisal, as gingival, as incisal, and as distal as possible. Same logic. For you have to be as at the corners. Yes. If you are in the middle, it will not work. Use it as in the corners as possible. Okay. First reason. Okay. Size. Again, the size. This is my.
But you can't get an extrusion with this kind of placement.
No. This is only for tipping. Only for tipping. Okay. So now, if you want tipping and a little bit of extrusion, yes. So I will just show you what we can use to get tipping and extrusion. So Invisalign has come up with the new attachment. I like it so much. We don't have it here, but I think it's a very good attachment. Okay, so now again I will show you an attachment which we have. Yes, this one. So this is what we can use. So you need to place it according to the axis of the tooth, right? So this is actually a horizontal. It is similar to Jonathan Nicholas's sash apartment, which he came up with. Only difference will be that you can make it a little bigger. So what you will get is and you have to be as down as possible, So what you will get now is when you plan the tipping in the soft on the tooth, there will be force here, yes, but this will be also acting on both the sides. So there will be a force from this side and a force from this side. So what you can do is change a little bit of torque on this attachment to get the so you change the torque. Change the rotation, and this is what you can use. The other option for getting a tip. It's a bigger attachment, and you get it like this. You see now? It's a very, very big attachment. This will help you also in the tip. Why? Because for any movement, if you want to move this, right? If you are down and you have something which will going to press, so it's going to be both ways, from here and from here. So the upper and the lower from here, because it is planned inside on the tooth. So this is also workable for smaller teeth. Why? The yin yang attachment, the double attachment, they are pretty small. They don't give you all the time the movement that you need. But this attachment being bigger and thicker, it will give you the downward movement and the upper movement together.
Yes.
So actually, if you want to ask me, for tipping, for smaller teeth, this is a better attachment than the yin yang one.
Yes.
And before I tried also putting the same attachment vertically. I tried, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
Why? Because you are again in the middle of the tooth, which is not good. You have to be not in the middle of the tooth. You have to be on the sides of the tooth, right? So this is not a good attachment. You have to be here. You have to be down. So for all the movements, the attachments for movements, if they are down, this will give you, it's called uncontrolled tipping, which we need here. We need uncontrolled tipping. We want the apex to move to the other side.
Yes.
You have to be down. So if you want to make tipping, this is the best attachment.
How about a combination from negative attachments and such attachment like this?
Sorry, Matilda, again.
Negative attachments and normal in combination on one tooth. You think from just for example on the Booker side a negative attachment and on the palatinal lingual side a normal attachment.
Yes, you can do that. Yes, of course you can do it. You can do it both sides. Yes.
Yes.
If you want to press from here and press from here, you can do it from both sides. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, and I will just want to show you. Can you play that automatically? No. Does the tooth will move
Yes,
distally
the
as well?
attachment on one tooth will move the tooth distally as well.
Only if you plan. So, as I said, you cannot move mesial tip and distal movement. It's not correct. So that you understand the question now. You want to move the tooth distally, but the crown mesially. You're going two different directions. Not correct. So you can move distal and distal, yes. But if you want to move crown distal, the root distal, the crown will go mesial. Right? This is what you want. You don't want to go the crown distal and the root distal. It will not happen.
I always think it's not an only a distal movement or distal or mesial movement. It's always an tipping.
Yes, so that's why. So the question should be, if we move the entire tooth distally, the crown will move first. So we need to compensate also the root.
Yes.
But if you want, I mean, the attachment you placed earlier, the yin yang one, the yin yang one can also move the tooth distally. Yes. You can move it distally. You can also move with this one, but the question remains the same. You have to plan the movement. So as I said, forget the attachment right now. You should just remember the movement first. So if you want to move the crown or the root altogether, so you can actually make a tip. Yes, you can make a tip. But if you want to move the tooth completely, so let's say, I'll just help you. So if you want to move, let's say, you want to move this tooth completely, right? Let's say you want to move it distally. You are already in a very good position. Why? Because the crown is already distal. You're already pretty good. The problem is when the crown is mesial, the root is mesial. That's the problem. So for you, here, you will only plan distal crown tip or distal root tip. You would like to keep the crown here. So here, if I will make that movement, this I will not move if I want to move the tooth distally. So what I will do is I will remember what is the place of the, how much is the place for the mesial distal, minus 2.29. I will keep it here. I will make a distal movement and I will keep this place here, you see?
Yes.
I don't want to move the crown mesial then. I hope that makes sense. You have to make two movements together if they are in the same direction. If they go in different direction, you cannot do that. Then it will not work.
Cool.
So another thing which I wanted to show, I wanted to show you was so we also did a change now for an attachment. So I just like to show you one patient also. We did some changes with the attachment. If I find that I like to show it with you and just share it with everybody. This is for intermaxillary elastics.
Ah.
So this patient needed intermaxillary elastics. So we changed the attachments so that you don't need to put hooks on the teeth anymore. So I'll just share it with everybody what change we did with the attachment to get those.
One question in the meanwhile, do the attachments include buttons for class 2 or 3?
Yes, we do it for both of them. It's for both of them. See now?
He don't understand, I think.
No, I said that we have made some changes to the attachments so that in the aligner we will get the hooks. So I just want to show you, and I'm just going to show you here. Yes, you can use it for class 2 and class 3 both. You just need to change the place and you can use it.
Ah, here.
So I'll just show you to you, and I'll just send for everybody what we did to change. So this is attachment number 3. And you can see here the scale is 6, thickness is 1.2, the scale Z is 1.97, and torque is 20, and rotation is 45. And this is what we got. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
And we got it on so we got this on the upper side, and we got the same on the aligner as well. So now we don't need to put extra hooks on the aligner. So we have saved this configuration for us. You see?
Yes.
So in the future, we will be using these for all attachment, for all cases where we need class 2 or class 3 elastics. So you can just save this. You can do a screenshot here, maybe, here. And you can just use it any way you want it. For class 2 elastic, you will just go in the front, and for class 3, you will go back. And I was not sure if it's going to print good, but then when I printed, it came out pretty good. And when we did the aligners also, it's a perfect hook. So you don't need to do another, you don't have to put any more buttons for class 2, class 3 elastics.
Yes, in the upcoming version, in the version 6 of Dental Studio, also there's a possibility to make a position, two aligner folds in position together.
Yes.
Yes.
And here, but remember one thing, everybody. So this attachment is only for the hooks. But
Yes.
to keep the aligner in place, you need to have attachments on number 6 mesially. Okay.
Yes.
Because otherwise, what will happen is the aligner will fall off.
Yes.
So you need to have attachments on the adjacent teeth to keep it there. Yeah.
Yes, you need a good retention.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is one thing which also we changed anew. I think there's also there's Dr. Amir. He also did a similar thing in another country with another software.
Never seen.
Yeah, I saw it on some forum. So because sometimes many people get the same idea.
Yes.
So after I did this, we saw him also doing the same thing. So I think Dr. Amir is pretty good that he thought of this idea actually. Okay, so any more questions about attachments?
At the moment, not. Here is one. Is it on the aligner itself? I think.
Yes, it comes on the aligner itself. Yes.
Yes. So
once you thermoform this vacuum form, it will come on the aligner. I don't know. So I'll just show you the aligner also because I have the aligner with me right now.
Perfect.
So I'll just ask Alexander. And actually, we try to put the hooks. They come in perfectly, actually.
Perfect. Much more better than using a headgear or something else.
Yeah, and you don't need to put buttons on the you don't need to put buttons on the teeth now.
Yes.
So you just give the aligners and you just give the elastics and that's it.
Perfect.
And sometimes the buttons come off, if the patient is not with you, the buttons might just come off. So in that case, it's also not very comfortable.
What are you using for the attachments himself? What material?
Yeah, just a second. So you can see the
Yes, perfect.
see now?
This is good. So it's good.
This is a hook. So this is perfectly for holding the elastics.
Perfect. This is an 0.75 foil, or it's
yes. 0.75, yes. And so we use SDR from Dentsply. SDR it's a bulk filk. It comes in capsules.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what we use for
the attachments.
Yes, that's what we use for
cool.
attachments.
Also, often a question: you make the etching guide out of this, or would you say it's not necessary?
No, I don't think it's necessary. I tried once, but I think it's an extra step.
Yes.
And the chances of the attachments might fall is higher. Why? Because anyway, when you want to make a little more area of attachment,
yes.
for the acid etching.
Yes.
So if you make it just like exactly the place, and in case for some reason it didn't come in, so I think it's an extra step for us to make in the lab.
Yes.
It's an extra step for the assistant when she makes it, and the chances of coming off are higher. So if somebody is using it, good. We don't use it. I tried it once and I didn't see the reason to use it for.
It's no effort for you. It's nothing. You said I must have it.
No, nothing.
Okay.
How do you remove it after suck down? Yeah, okay. So we can remove it very easily. The way you remove it normally, the other attachments, it comes off easily. There's no problem at all. So you can see that this model which I showed you, it was already after the suck down. So the attachment didn't come off. It also depends on your resin, because if your resin is good, then you won't have this problem.
Yes. How do you another question? How do you remove it after suck down?
This is what I answered right now. You remove it like all other attachments. There's no problem at all.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a problem, especially if the sheet has a foil, the protection foil, then it comes out more easily.
Yes.
So Duran from Shoe Dental, it doesn't have a sheet. So there it sticks to it and then it breaks off. Yes. But with the Pro Plus, it has a sheet, protective sheet, so it's not really a problem.
Yes. Is that hook won't break out of the model?
I just show you. This model which I showed you is actually after the suck down, so it didn't break. So this model was after suck down. So you can understand that.
So no problem.
No problem. Yeah.
Yes. No more questions. I think it's okay, and at the end, everyone everyone knows you in the group, yes, and can write to you, or we can discuss in the group. Also, an option, you are always reading with us, and it's no problem to get an answer from you.
I'm always there on the group, and I want to see everybody what everybody is doing.
Yes.
And I want to learn from others, because there's always something which I've learned that others are also doing a few things or many things which I don't know, I have not learned. So that's why this group is so good, that everybody can come together and learn together to work better and work better on the program.
Therefore, the group is here.
Yes. Thanks to you, Matthias. It's all thanks to you that everybody's learning and doing good on what they're doing right now.
Yes, thank you. I think we are at the end, and if anybody has questions, just write to us, or especially to Sachin.
Yeah, you can just write the questions on this post, and I will answer all the questions. No problem.
Yes, okay. And I will post a link in the evening for the webinar, and everyone can download or have just look at it again. And I think a lot of guys are sleeping because today also in Europe we have lost 1 hour today. the most of them will just realize if you are gone now. And I think it's okay. And I have to thank you, Sakin, for this very, very cool webinar. I have learned so much. And
thank you so much for the opportunity.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Matthias. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Thank
so I think we are off, and have a nice Sunday.
Yeah. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.